everyone, welcome to another video on the Osheeny Creations YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. I am Osheeny Wright. I develop creative methods, books, and strategies that teach people to overcome challenges that hinder the building of an effective relationship with Jesus Christ. I carry out this mission by focusing on 4 divisions: the Word of God, prayer, relationship with God documentation, and paying for purpose. As we are closing out the year 2024 and about to start 2025, I want to use this video to tell you about my top highlights of 2024. This year, 2024, has been an interesting year for me, and these highlights that I am going to share with you are some of the reasons why it has been interesting for me. So I hope you will enjoy and that you will learn something from these highlights that I have had in 2024. When I sum up 2024, these highlights are among the experiences that I will never ever forget as long as I remember 2024. So if you're ready, let's get right into it. So my first highlight of 2024 is the fact that it's the year when I relaunched my dream. Now in January 2024, I relaunched my vision, my dream that I am going after, and it is called Introducing Osheeny Creations. I have a video on this channel that shows how it went, and I will link it in the description if you are interested in seeing more about how it went. But basically, what I do is I create books, creative methods, and strategies that teach people to overcome challenges that hinder the building of an effective relationship with Jesus Christ. So whatever books I create, whatever strategies I create, whatever methods I create, whatever content I create, that's the mission that everything focuses on. That's the mission that everything seeks to achieve, and I do that underneath my brand Osheeny Creations. So in January 2024, that's what, by the grace of God assisting me, I was able to relaunch, and it was an amazing experience for me. It's one that I will never forget, and it's one that will always be there as the top highlight of 2024 for me. So yes, so that's highlight number 1. Highlight number 2 is the fact that further down in the year, I think it was, I don't remember which month, but when I remember the month, I'm going to put it somewhere here. Further down in the year, I released books, right? I released new books this year. So that's the second highlight of 2024 for me. So what I normally say is that I started in 2024 relaunching my dream and finish 2024 releasing books. So you know, when you really think about that, you can understand why those two are the top highlights for 2024 for me, and why that means so much to me, right? So yes, so that's my second highlight. So the 3 books that I have released publicly this year are the Prayer Lifestyle of God's Disciple Prayer Journal, as well as the Levels of Bible Study Level 1 workbook and the Levels of Bible Study Level 2 workbook. Those are the 3 books that I publicly released this year. So I will link it in the description if you are interested in purchasing and knowing more about what those books are about. But those are my top 2 highlights. Those 2 really had to head the list because they mean so much to me, and I am so grateful that the Lord allowed me to experience those 2 things in this year 2024. Now let's continue into other highlights. So I have had some experiences before 2024, but it's the experiences within 2024 that has really made me realize this lesson in a deep way, and that's the reason why this particular lesson that I am going to say now has made it into my 2024 highlights. So this year I learned deeper than before that when I allow disappointing circumstances to redirect me, I normally gain unexpected and remarkable experiences from it. And when I experience disappointment, always ask, how can this disappointment redirect me to gain unexpected and remarkable experiences? Now, knowing me, I don't like disappointment. I don't like to be frustrated and all those things. But if you are going to be
successful in life, right? If you are going to achieve anything at all in life, from the simple to the complex, right? If you are going to be anything at all in life, if you are going to live life day by day, if you are going to experience life day by day, you are going to experience some form of disappointment. I can guarantee you, right? And even though I don't like disappointment, I don't enjoy disappointment, I have gotten to realize that once you're going to become something in life, once you're determined to become something in life, once you're determined to experience life, once you're determined not to let life pass you by, you are going to experience some disappointment on the journey. But what I have gotten to realize, and I have experienced this over the years, but it's in 2024, it's in this year that I really got the lesson. What I have realized is that a lot of the times when I experience disappointments and I allow the disappointments to turn me to another avenue or turn me to somewhere else, I realize that when I look at that avenue or those avenues, I realize that the Lord allows those avenues to allow me to experience more and to experience unexpected things that the avenue that I wanted to work would not have allowed me to experience. And I realized that multiple times this year, right? And so that's a major highlight, because I want to go through life from now until I die. I want to go through life looking at disappointment differently, right? I don't want to go through life anymore looking at disappointment as frustration or, negatively. I want to go through life seeing every disappointment that faces me, every no that faces me, as an opportunity to try other avenues, as an opportunity to explore other paths, as an opportunity to explore other unique ways of getting the job done. Because I have realized that when I allow disappointment to redirect me in that way, and I try those avenues, I try those other unique ways of getting the job done, I realize that I experience unexpected things happening. I experience remarkable things happening that would not have happened if what I wanted to work out actually worked out. So there are so many experiences this year that I have had that made me realize that. And without giving too much away, I'm going to share one. So I remember this year I wanted to do something, right? And so I went to a particular avenue, but I was disappointed, right? And I was sad because I was disappointed. I was sad. But because I still wanted to do the thing, I searched out other avenues now. Because since Avenue 1 failed me or did not work out, I decided that I'm going to look into other avenues. And what I did, I didn't just look into one other avenue. I looked into multiple avenues, right? And it turned out that two of those multiple avenues worked out, right? And then one of those two avenues came through before the second avenue. So I'm trying not to give too much away, but yeah, so one of the avenues came through before the other avenue. And so because one came through before the other avenue, when the other avenue came through now, I was able to change what I wanted and get something else. So what happened was, the disappointment that I experienced led to me being redirected in such a way where I could try other avenues, and those other avenues led to me getting what I wanted plus something else that I had wanted from a long time ago. I ended up getting those two things this year, and it was just amazing. So, and I have had other experiences with disappointment, that when I allow those disappointments to redirect me, I end up getting so much more than I had bargained for, and the experiences blow my mind every time. So that plus other experiences before 2024 has made me realize that if I can train my mind, if we can train our mind to see disappointments not as frustrations, to see disappointments not as something negative, but to see disappointments as an opportunity to ask, how can this be directing me to try another avenue? Or how can this be directing me to try again until I succeed? Or how can this be directing me to an opportunity that will allow me to experience remarkable and unexpected experiences, right? So I want myself to see disappointments with a different eye, right? Instead of letting it frustrate us and cause us to give up, allow it to be opportunities to encourage us to try other avenues on the journey to being a success story. So that these experiences, especially in 2024, have really altered the way I see disappointment. And so going forward, I want to be a person that allows disappointment to redirect me. I want to be a person that doesn't get frustrated anymore when I'm disappointed, but instead take the opportunity that the disappointment is giving me to try other avenues, because at the end of those avenues, and it doesn't matter how hard you try, at the end, if you don't give up, you're going to experience a remarkable experience, an unexpected experience that if you gave up, you would not get. My other highlight, my next highlight, is the women's all-round gymnastics finals that I got to watch on One Spot Media on August 1, 2024. Now, I have always been a lover of gymnastics from I know myself. I love to watch gymnastics. I enjoy watching gymnastics. It has always, anytime the Olympics would come around, gymnastics would be one of my favorite sports to watch on the TV. And you know, recently I got to learn about Simone Biles. And from I've got to learn about her and I realized how pioneering her life is, I have become even more fascinated with her and her whole life and everything, and how she got to being the GOAT, which is the greatest of all time, and the measures she puts in place and the lessons she puts in place to maintain her status as the GOAT, the greatest of all time in gymnastics, right? So I'm fascinated by her. I'm fascinated by her life, and I'm fascinated by gymnastics on a whole, right? So I was very happy when I got the chance to watch the women's all-round gymnastics finals on August 1, 2024 on One Spot Media Jamaica, right? Oh my goodness, like that experience watching them, it was snail biting from the start to the finish. But you know, when it got down to the finish, it became even more nail biting. Like I was glued to the screen. I was just amazed. I was amazed to see the whole experience, you know. And this is what I learned from the experience. I journaled it because, as I said, it's a highlight. It's a really nail biting highlight for me. So this is why it's such a highlight for me. I watched the women's all-round artistic gymnastic finals on One Spot Media on August 1, 2024, and I was amazed. As it got down to the last minutes, it grew very nail-biting. It was incredible. So I was mostly observing Simone's journey in the finals, and this is what was significant to me. After the first rotation, Simone was at first place with 15.766 and Rebecca Andrade was at second place with 15.100. Sunisa Lee was all the way in 7th place with 13.933. Full stop. After the second rotation, so these were the points after the first rotation. So the thing is, artistic gymnastics has 4 different rotations, right? So you did the first rotation first, second rotation, third rotation, and then the fourth rotation, right? So yeah. So after the second rotation, Rebecca Andrade was in first place with 29.766 and Simone Biles was in third place with 29.499. So Simone Biles jumped from first place all the way to third place. So in the first rotation, Simone Biles was at first and Rebecca Andrade was at second. That was after the first rotation. By the time the second rotation finished, Simone Biles jumped from first place to third place and Rebecca Andrade jumped from second place to first place. So let me continue. So Simone Biles jumped from first place all the way to third place, and Sunisa Lee jumped from 7th place to 5th place with 28.799 points. So after the first rotation, Sunisa Lee was at 7th place. Then after the second rotation, Sunisa Lee jumped from 7th place to 5th place. So it's like, as the rotations are happening in the gymnastics finals, jumping is going on, right? One person is jumping from first place all the way to third place. One person jumped from 7th place all the way to 5th place. One person jumped from second place all the way to first place. And you know, it was just nail biting watching all of that. And watching all of that really made me learn some fascinating lessons. So let me continue. After the third rotation, Simone Biles moved from third place back to first place with 44.065 points. Rebecca Andrade went from first place to second place. Oh God. So Simone moved from third place to first place. So first she was at first place, so she went from first place to third place, then back to first place again. And then Rebecca Andrade now went from second place to first place, and then back to second place again. All of this was after the third rotation. So Rebecca Andrade went from first place to second place with 43.899 points, and she and Simone were still close in points. Sunisa Lee moved up to fourth place, so Sunisa went from 7th place to 5th place, now to 4th place with 42.799, but she tied for 4th place with another gymnast, Kaylee Anymore. But when the 4th rotation came along, now the 4th rotation is the last rotation. Anything that happens after the 4th rotation, that's the score that define everything, right? Where am I? Okay, but when the 4th rotation came along, that was when it got even more exciting and nail biting. At first, A. Amato was at first place, Kaylee Moore was at second place, and E. Black was in third place. Then it was Sunisa Lee's time, and when she completed her 4 routine for the 4th rotation, she advanced to first place with 56.465 points. So Sunisa jumped from 7th place to 5th place to 4th place to first place at that particular time. Then it was Rebecca Andrade's time to do her floor routine for this 4th rotation, and this saw her kicking Sunisa Lee to second place while she took first place with 57.932 points. Then it was Simone Biles' time to do her floor routine, and goodness, that was amazingly superb. Simone Biles kicked Rebecca Andrade out of first place by scoring 59.131 points. So after all this, the finals ended with Simone Biles winning first place with 2 whole points. At first, she and Rebecca's scores were nail-bitingly close, but she continued steadfastly and ended up winning the entire finals by 2 whole points. That was just really superb to watch. What is also superb is how Sunisa Lee jumped from 7th place to 3rd place. Whoa. Now, this is what I learned from the whole experience. Let's continue. Many times I get discouraged when I lose one time, or when I fail and make mistakes along the journey whenever I am going after something. I get discouraged and I don't want to continue. I call it quits. And many times, I think the journey to success should be one without mistakes and failings and failures and bad moments and moments when you are not in first place. But here in this women's gymnastics all-around final, these girls have faced not being in the top spot so many times during the process, but they did not give up or call it quits. They continued until the end and continued to push and improve and get better, and they ended up reaping victory. What if they had given up or called it quits in the early stages? What if they had not persevered? This teaches me that the journey to being a champion is not straight. There are times you will fall from first place. There are times you will be in 7th place, 5th place. But like the top 3 gymnasts, do not give up. Persevere. Continue to improve. Give it your best. Press forward and you will certainly reap victory. What if they had gotten discouraged and given up? They wouldn't have accomplished this. This is a superb lesson. Being in 7th place now doesn't mean you can't end up emerging as the winner when this whole process is over. You can. You just have to keep going and improving. Don't let your mistakes in the process discourage you. It's all a part of the journey. When they happen, work to continue to improve at what you are doing. If you fail or fall in the first rotation, do not give up. Don't stay discouraged. If you fail or fall in the first rotation, like these successful gymnasts, work to improve in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, etc. rotations. Always work to be better than you were before. That's what these gymnasts demonstrated. If you keep doing that, you will indeed emerge victorious. I was so fascinated by that women's all-around gymnastics final that I had to journal about it, literally, because it taught me so much. If you start the journey in 7th place, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to end the journey in 7th place. Likewise, if you start the journey in 1st place, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to end the journey in 1st place. What determines how you end the journey is what you do during the process. So if you start the journey in 7th place, right, and you decide, say, you're going to give up, you decide, say, you're going to give up after everything will face you, then you're not going to end the journey winning, right? And if you start the journey in 7th place, if you start the journey dead last, and you decide that every mistake that faces you, you're going to work to make it better. You decide that every trial that faces you, you're going to turn it into an opportunity to build you. Mighty God, mighty God. You decide that when the failure comes, you're not gonna give up, but you're gonna put your best foot out there to make sure that you don't fail again, or to make sure that if you fail, it's cut down. You know, your failure time is decreased, so that you get better and better and better. And you do that now, and that will guarantee you reach in 1st place, or reach in 2nd place, or reach in 3rd place, or being a winner. It's what you do within the process that determines if you're going to start at 7th place and end at 7th place, or if you're going to start at 7th place and end at 1st place, or if you're going to start at 1st place and end at 1st place, or if you're going to start at 1st place and end dead last. And this teaches me that when you refuse to give up, how you start will not be how you end. Mighty God. The lessons from it still fascinating me to this day. To this day, I'm telling you. My next highlight of 2024 is learning about Thomas Edison. Now, how I came to learn about Thomas Edison. So, there is this junk journaling challenge that happens in December called D for Remember. Now, it's hosted by Louisa Hansel and 49 Dragonflies. And if you're into junk journaling, those 2 accounts are fascinating when it comes to going deeper and deeper and deeper into junk journaling. So I'll link them in the description below. You can find out more. So yeah, so they host December, and December is basically making ephemera in December. So December is basically putting December and ephemera together. So when you put December and ephemera together, you get December. So ephemera in the junk journaling community is basically making things like these that you can put into your junk journal. So this is a journaling card, but you can make tags, you can make envelopes, belly bands, flip out pages, etc, 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 right? So it's making things like these that you put into your junk journals, right? Yes, so I did December this year, and there was a prompt on it for this year that has to do with steampunk. And so I did not know anything about steampunk, but I remembered that 49 Dragonflies always talks about steampunk, and she has videos on her channel about steampunk. So in preparing myself to get ideas as to how I am going to do that particular prompt, I decided to search on YouTube for videos about steampunk, and I came upon one of her videos. So I watched it, right? I watched a flip through of a steampunk journal that she did, right? And so when I looked through the journal, I realized I saw the name Edison. And so when I saw the name Edison, I was wondering, is Edison a part of the steampunk era? So I did some digging and I found out that yes, Thomas Edison was an inventor during the steampunk era. And that fascinated me even more because, especially in this year, I have been studying the lives of pioneers, right? And so I was even more fascinated to see that Thomas Edison was a part of the steampunk era because he is also a pioneer. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to research him. Right? And when I started researching him, I was so fascinated by some of the things that I learned about him. And I learned some lessons from Thomas Edison's life that are key lessons that are evident within the life of a pioneer. Right? And so these are the key lessons that I realized from Thomas Edison's life. The first key I realized from Thomas Edison's life is that he defied what defies others. And what I mean by this is, I was fascinated by how easily Thomas Edison lets things go, right? Things that happen in his life, that if it happens in others' life, it would kill them. He easily lets it go and moves on and continues with his inventions. And I was amazed, so amazed at how easily he does that, you know? I was amazed. He easily lets it go and moves on. There was an experience that one of the documentaries gave where Thomas Edison experienced his laboratory being burnt down, you know, and there were persons there thinking that he would not recover from this. But while looking at his laboratory burning down and so on and so forth, he said to somebody that was there that he's basically just going to start tomorrow. And true to his word, the next day after the fire, he started all over again. And I was fascinated. I was fascinated by how he deals with situations like that. You know, I was fascinated by the mental strength that he had to go through situations like that, let it go easily and start again easily. I was fascinated, so fascinated. And also, another part of Edison's life that I am fascinated by is the fact that he tries and tries and tries and tries and tries and he never stops trying until he succeeds. And that, one of the main evidences of that in Thomas Edison's life is his journey to the creation of the light bulb. Let me tell you. And I'm telling you, those two things that I realized about Thomas Edison's life fascinates me. I am amazed by it, like really amazed by it, right? And also, he turns hard situations into helps. So like, for instance, he was not born deaf, but during his lifetime, he became deaf at a particular age, right? And one of the documentaries made me understand that when somebody asked him, why didn't he make a hearing aid to help with his deaf situation? He said that he doesn't want to do that because being deaf actually helps him, right? Because the fact that he has this deaf problem, he doesn't hear a lot of things. So the fact that he can't hear allows him to focus on what he is doing, so it minimizes distractions. So the deafness that somebody else would have seen as a problem or as a frustration or as an obstacle, you know, Thomas Edison used it as an opportunity to build him, as an opportunity to make him better. He used it as a tool to ensure that he is more effective, and I was fascinated by that. Like, so fascinated by that. To this day, I am still fascinated by that. And I realize that it's not Thomas Edison alone that has these traits. I realize that every pioneer I have studied right now, from Simone Biles to Terry Carrell to Usain Bolt to so many others, they have similar traits, they behave similarly, and I am just fascinated, so fascinated by it, like really fascinated by it. So yes, so that's one more highlight. Another highlight, and I think I'm going to wrap up with this particular highlight. Yes, I'm going to wrap up with this highlight because this video is getting a bit too long. But I hope you enjoyed it so far. Yes, but another highlight is the fact that this year was the year that I learned that our pet cats, the normal pet cats that we have here, can climb trees. Yes, this was the year I really learned that our pet cats can climb trees. I did not know that our pet cats were capable of climbing trees. I had no idea. Until one day this year I was at home, right? And I saw some wild cocos in front of where I was. I saw some shuffling within the wild cocos. So I was wondering what was causing all that shuffling. To my surprise, I saw a cat run out of the area where the wild cocos were and ran up the pear tree, right? And so I was so surprised because I had no idea cats could climb trees. No, sorry, I had no idea our pet cats. I know cats can climb trees because, you know, tigers and lions. Well, I don't know if lions can climb trees or tigers, but I think you have certain cats in the wild that actually can climb. I will have to study to see which ones, but I am aware that you have certain cats that can climb. But I did not know that our pet cats can, right? And so I saw the cat run up the tree, and then after that, I saw a dog run out of the place where the wild cocos were. And so that's when I realized that the cat was running from the dog. And I don't know, but the dog saw me and then the dog turned back. So I don't know if it's because the dog saw me why it turned back, or if it turned back because it could not climb trees, right? I don't know. But all I know is the dog turned back. And the cat stayed up there for a while until he decided to come down, right? And this is what I learned from the process. That process was fascinating enough for me to journal it. And this is what I learned from the process. So, if I am looking from the point of view that the dog could actually climb the tree but chose not to because it saw me, the lesson for me in that would be that the dog lost the chance to achieve his goal because he neglected to use his tools or skills. He allowed the sight of me to cause him to not use his climbing skills to go after and capture his prey. And so, analyzing it from that standpoint led me to ask this question. What fears am I allowing to stop me from using my skills or my tools? How can I overcome? So let's say the dog could climb the tree, right? But he didn't because he saw me. So I would have been that hindrance that allowed him to not climb the tree. So what fears, what obstacles are we allowing to stop us from using our skills or our tools? And how can we overcome? I could also look at it from the point of view that some dogs have to endure training to climb. So in other words, it could be that this dog actually could not climb for true. But you have some dogs that are trained to do these type of things. So they can't climb, but you train them, and in training them, you unlock that potential, and they learn to climb, right? And so I could also look at it from the point of view that some dogs have to endure training to climb. So it could be that the dog has the potential to climb, but he didn't receive the needed training. He didn't have the capacity to climb in order to catch the cat. This would encourage me to not neglect the training process God is carrying me through. Training outfits you with tools or skills to catch certain prey that the untrained would run from and give up on. So that dog did not bother climbing the tree to go after the cat because maybe he neglected his training process, or maybe he did not get training, right? He didn't have the opportunities for training. So an open door to catch the cat presented itself before the dog. But because the dog did not have the training, or because the dog neglected the training, he had to run from that open door. Right? And so what that taught me is that it's important that we go through our training processes so that we become persons that do not run from open doors, but instead run through open doors. And so it was just fascinating for me to learn that. And I also learned something else. I realized that the cat did what the dog did not attempt. In simple terms, the dog never attempted to climb the tree. The cat attempted to climb the tree and climbed the tree. So in simple terms, the cat did what the dog did not attempt. So what that teaches me is, if you can train yourself to do what others do not attempt, will not attempt, scared to attempt, you will experience open doors that they can't, that they won't. And pioneers show that as well. Because pioneers like Thomas Edison and Simone Biles, they do the difficult things that others won't attempt. They do the difficult things. They train themselves to do the difficult things. So it could also be that this cat could have climbed for true, but him go through the training, and he went through the training and allowed the training to teach him how to climb. So he went through the training to do the things that he knows that the dogs will not even attempt. And because of that, he was able to save his life. You know? So it could be that as well. So that is teaching me that if you're going to be cutting edge, you know what I mean? If you're going to be cutting edge, if you're going to be exceptional, you have to ensure that you can do things that people won't even attempt. You understand? You have to ensure that you do things that make you a cut above the rest. And that cat and dog experience made me realize that.